We are in the Museum of Modern Arts located in the city of Boston, Massachusetts, and we're taking a look at Gauguin's Where Do We Come From, What Are We, and Where Are We Going? This work of art was considered by Gauguin his best artwork. The painting is known to be the highlight of Gauguin's post-impressionistic style. What can you tell us about this style, Arielle?
I believe his art should be expressive with color, a seminal, influential element of creativity. His brushstrokes are very challenging, and as he portrays it, it was an important component of his expressive style.
Right,
So,
that's true. The post-impressionistic style stresses colors, the vivid use of colors, and thick brushstrokes. These are the tenets of the Impressionists, but it also aims to convey an emotional or
hmm
expressionistic
yeah, I
strength.
agree.
This style of art emerged in conjunction with other avant-garde movements of the 20th century, including Cubism and Fauvism. But let's talk a little bit about the title as well. What do you think about the title?
So, where do we come from? We have the babe to the far right, and then the woman in the middle. What do you think she represented with the babe?
The baby, I guess, represents the beginning of life. Each one of us starts as a baby, and kind of we go off from there. But going back to the title of this painting, perhaps this is one of the most intriguing questions that people ask in our generation today. Where do we come from? It's this ongoing debate between whether we are products of evolution, products of chance, or whether there is a divine entity that is in control and that created
Yeah,
us. So
that's very interesting because everyone has their own belief, but so I found in a database, and it was by Sandra Bertman, and she was talking about how when we say where do we come from, kind of just source, child, and then life begins.
right,
It's not really like, I guess they don't really talk much about spirituality aspects, like we're
right,
created by God.
right,
He created all human beings, and so that's interesting how people might think, oh, we're created from
right.
evolution.
And that makes sense because Gauguin at this time had just experienced the loss of his daughter, and he
Mm,
is quoted as saying, My daughter is dead now. I don't need God anymore." So
hmm
I think this really stems from a very difficult point in time in Gauguin's life, trying to find meaning for it. After this, he attempted suicide, but failed. He attempted twice, and he failed in both occasions. But he leaves us this as an attempt to understand what life is, the
Yeah.
cycle of life, and the meaning he was trying to portray is actually widely debated, especially because he himself said that his dream was intangible and therefore couldn't be comprehended. So we can just kind of try to assume what it is that Gauguin was trying to express, what the message he was trying to convey was, but I guess we can not really understand. We'd probably have to ask him personally to find out what he was trying to send to us.
Yeah.
I found an interesting quote on a book titled Where Do We Come From? The Molecular Evidence for Human Descent. On page 3, it says, What then does Where Do We Come From represent? Although a general guideline to our perception of the masterpiece is available, a specific relation between the work and a viewer is established individually. So essentially, what it's trying to say is everybody that looks at this picture has an individual interpretation
Yeah,
of it.
yeah, exactly. I feel like every art is viewed that way. Of course, the artist has its own, story behind it and what they are trying to reveal to us. But as viewers, we are definitely going to have our own interpretations
That's
of
right.
what it means to us. It can mean many different things,
Hmm.
and we all think differently. And I think it's pretty awesome how the art can't just be mean one thing, because then I
That's
don't know,
right.
it's just not special that way.
That's right.
Yeah, and I feel like some people that they're kind of hesitant about, well, they don't want to be wrong, but really there's no wrong or right answer.
Right. Right.
Just kind of speak your mind, what come to mind and how it makes you feel, and don't be afraid to express.
All right, and I think that Gauguin in this painting, what he's essentially trying to do is to actually get us to think about life as well. He wants us to ask ourselves these questions: Where do we come from as as individuals? What are we, or who are we? And essentially, what's the purpose in our life? So where are we going? So I think this painting specifically invites the viewer to contemplate the meaning of life with regard to the symbols
Yeah.
Gauguin has left us. Right. Let's talk a little bit about those. We talked a little bit about the babe and kind of how that represents newborn life. But for example, what about the old lady on the far left? She kind of
Um,
seems like she's
yeah, I feel like, well, where how she sits is she's just on the verge of death, and cloth at the parallel perhaps to the babe on the painting far right, kind
yeah.
of very parallel.
That's right. And I think death kind of defines us. It kind of sets a limit on us and makes us actually do something. Otherwise, I think if we were to live forever, I think we might just kind of be very slow, not really plan something out, or have any goals really in
Yeah.
mind. Um, but I think that analyzing death and looking at death kind of makes us think of, oh, maybe I should do this before I
Yeah,
die.
just kind of live life to the fullest.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's portrayed by the young lady in the middle trying to reach for the apple. It's obviously an allusion to the Genesis account of Adam and Eve and Eve
Yeah.
picking out the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So this desire to reach, this desire to understand even more about life, or just to attain knowledge in,
Yeah,
in
like
general.
the quest for knowledge.